There, and Howard, if you're recording.
They're laughing at you.
Yes, I put the recording on.
Okay.
Time's up.
We're a very serious club. I get the talk? Wow. All right. Welcome to the North Texas Rotary E Club. And it's what, the 28th of January? I'm supposed to do the invocation. You're going to do invocation.
Okay. Bless our friendship today and bless this meeting. As we meet here today as members of Rotary, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our services to fellow citizens and to our community. Let's continue to strive to make a better world. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, and the pledge, and we have a real flag, and Vicki and I are supposed to stand up. And if you are in the military or have served in the military and discharged honorably, you get to salute. So,
I
I'm a
pledge
little bit
allegiance
low, and you can't see Vicki at all.
We can hear you.
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll be back in 1 minute. I got to get my notes for the Ryla stuff. It's in another.
Okay. RYLA is, what he alluded to, is Rotary Leadership Youth Awards, and it's for juniors going into their senior year. It's a week of a leadership camp. And so Howard is our RYLA chair, and every year we send a student, and it really changes their lives, they say. So he's gone to get his notes. In the meantime, like I said, we've been gone for 2 weeks, so don't know what's going on back home. I know we're having a gala on the 28th of March that's going to benefit polio, and we've been fighting polio since 1985. There are 350,000 cases a year. Now we have 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and last year we only had like a total of 48. We have almost 150 cases, 136 I believe, are in Pakistan because the Taliban won't let us give the vaccine. In fact, they have killed over 70 workers that have tried to. So we're trying
to give vaccine to their children.
Yeah, right. So now they have 136 kids that will be crawling basically or may not live.
Yeah.
But anyway, they think it sterilizes their kids or it causes some of their illness, which it doesn't. But and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is partnered with us, and so they double match. So every dollar we put into polio, they put in $2. So
Okay.
it's working on it.
Oh, that's
And,
great.
2 years ago, the head of the World Health Organization for polio said, Eurotarians have eliminated 99.999% of the polio cases in the world. That's not good enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not until we get the last one, it's not good enough.
Exactly. Especially
That's it.
because it's
That's
something
it.
that you can get to, right?
Right.
Right. And also like this coronavirus, it's spreading. Polio can be spread, through
It's a plane ride away.
it's a plane right away. And here is Howard.
Hi. So these are some notes I took. This is for this year's RYLA. It's $700 per student. The payment is due April 1st. They want us to book one of the student we sponsor as a speaker between September 1st and October 1st. The transportation form has to be submitted by July 1st. May 7th is orientation. I don't think we have to do that because we're sponsoring it through another club, so they probably will do most of that, but I'm just giving you some idea.
Okay.
Let's see.
When is the actual RYLA?
When is it?
It's August?
July 26th to July 31st.
July 20.
Okay, late
Wait, July 21st to July 26th?
No, July 26th to July 31st.
To July
Oh, it's a
31st.
day shorter this year.
Yeah, they did say it's a day shorter.
And you have to have the money by April 1st. So I that that was important. And
Okay.
but again, because we don't do it by ourselves, we go with another club. But I still thought you needed to know that.
Yeah, it's another organization. Actually, it's called, oh gosh. Anyway, they do the student. They sponsor it.
Okay. And they
So,
need a background check. You need 2 drivers, but you know that. And they both
Right.
need background checks.
Right.
And then they have like that orientation, but we don't really go because the sponsoring group, the group that was sponsoring usually takes care of that. But I just took the notes so you'd have it.
Okay, thank you.
The Saturday before Thanksgiving is when they have their second meeting. You know, they have like a second meeting. And you
Okay.
can use district grants for Ryla. That's something new.
Okay, we'll have to talk to Charlotte, because she'll be the president then.
Okay. So anyway, that was all the information. You're gonna need someone else next year to do that because I'll be in Florida. I'll still be
Okay.
in the club, but I won't be able to go to the meeting.
Okay,
I've been going for about 4 or 5 years now. But
and we thank you.
no, I was happy to do it. It's always nice to see the kids that come and what they do, Rio and Micah, they give these youngsters scholarships to this camp, and it's a very intensive training on how to be a leader.
Mhm.
These kids become very polished. They learn how to take control over a group. They take turns being in charge and having to follow. And they learn the skills of leadership and entrepreneurship. And it's one of the things Rotary does. And they don't charge them anything. If you're picked, you everything's paid for by
Wow.
Rotary. It's a big honor because they
That's
only
amazing,
take,
yeah.
like 1 or 2 kids per club. The bigger clubs will do 2, and the small clubs will do 1. And it's something that they do every year. So there's a lot they
amazing.
do
That is.
with children. And Ryler is one, and they have Rotaract and Interact, which are they have clubs in the high schools for kids, and they have clubs in the colleges for kids. So they do a lot, and then they give scholarships in a lot of clubs for college for a lot of the kids. So
Wow.
that was I was interested in children and education. Everyone joins for a different reason, like
Yeah.
getting rid of polio or water projects in Africa. That's another thing they do. Our district sponsored a school in Malawi, and because I'm the world's fastest reader, so I donated my learning program, and I'm going to give it to you guys as a gift for being speakers. Just send me
Oh,
an
great.
email. You're welcome. You can send
Thank
me
you.
an email to Mr. Reader, MrReader, Mr. Reader at MSN with your email because it's online, and I'll send you a link to my program to thank you for coming tonight. Okay, and I'll
Oh,
send it back to Dee.
Howard,
Yes.
you didn't tell them how fast.
80 pages a minute.
It's 25,000 words a minute.
Yeah, it depends on how many words are on the page, but it's,
Well,
it's really a page and a half
Wow.
a second. I can't go faster than I can turn the page, and if you go one side, 2 sides, turn, it's a second and a half, and you can't really go faster than one side, 2 side turn.
Back taken several kids down there that I don't know if I want to go or not. One thing I don't like, they have to leave their cell phone at home. And a lot of the kids say, what? What? I can't live a week without.
A
And
cell
a cell
phone.
phone.
And then a week later, we go pick them up and they don't want to come home.
I know, because they forget what it's like.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Why don't we let the speakers speak?
okay. Howard, would you like to introduce our speaker?
Yes, Rio and Micah are speaking tonight. I met them on the speaker website, and they have a great topic to share with us, and I'm really happy to meet them, and I hope that they'll join our community. As I said, I'm a speaker, and I like working with Rotary, and this group is particularly good because she's so flexible. I'm traveling all the time. They're in Oregon, and they were in the meeting. And you could be on the road on your phone, you can do it on a laptop, or you can watch the video. So for a speaker, when you don't know where you're going to be from one week to the next, it's
Yeah.
very nice. And let's say you're on the road, well, there's a Rotary Club, and whatever place you're going, and you can let them know you're coming to do something in that area, and they'll let people know that you're doing something and help to get more people to show up at your event.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
we love
Yeah,
that
that's
because
awesome.
that's sort of
Yeah.
the next phase for us right now, right? Like upcoming, we're going to be in Tennessee, not this weekend, but next weekend in Nashville,
Yeah.
and we're going to be in Miami the weekend after that, and we're sort of just planning out because we're releasing our book actually on February 9th.
Okay.
It's our first book together.
Oh, okay.
It's called, Expose, Love, Unstuck, and it's actually a workbook. And this workbook is really going to help people to address a lot of the trauma and a lot of the issues that they did not address in their past
Mhm.
that's keeping them from having the type of relationships that they want to have.
Mhm.
Well,
right?
Call me
So-
after the meeting, I'll give you my phone number. It's 214-952.
Oh, I don't have anything to write it down, but I can get it from you.
And I'll send you my number, and I'll show you how to get more bookings in Rotary, how to find the
Oh.
clubs, where you're going, and how to network. Rotary started as a networking organization initially. Now it's primarily a service organization, but it's great for networking because in most communities, the mayor, the school superintendent. I mean, I just got booked into Lawton, Oklahoma. The mayor, I met him at the Rotary. Chickasaw, Oklahoma. I met the mayor at the Rotary. So you meet people.
Oh, wow.
So for what you do, it'll be very good. But I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to mute my mic and let you guys talk about your topic.
We're going to
Yeah,
meet
no problem.
ours. So you got it.
Okay.
No problem. So hello, everyone that's watching. If you're watching us live tonight or if you're watching on the replay, welcome. It's our pleasure to be presenting to you tonight here at the Rotary. And we're really just going to introduce ourselves and what it is that we teach. We're all about helping to foster progressive families, progressive relationships. And that starts from the parent down to the child, really progressive love and what we can do as a unit in a relationship or as a family unit to make that happen. So we call ourselves power strategists.
That's right.
And that's really just helping you to find your true power as an individual, so you can do that with your family, so you could do that with your spouse in the relationship that you're in.
That's right. So our passion for this, and if you did hear our name, because we get so passionate about it, my name is Rio.
And
This is my
Mika.
lovely wife, Mika Watkins. And the reason why we're so passionate about this, because we're both products of divorce. We're both products of not only divorce in our first marriage before we met each other. My parents were also divorced.
Yes.
I realized it was a generational thing that was happening. As you look down my line, not until my great-grandparents, when they stayed together, everybody else along that tree was divorced. And I kept wondering, why was that happening? Why does that become a trend? You know, the divorce rate right now is higher than it's ever been. There has to be a reason why. And is there a reason why we might be able to curve that? Is there a reason for us to catch that before we actually get to the point of having to get that divorce? Can we find our perfect mate that matches us and complements us from the beginning? And that's what we want to help people learn.
Exactly. And that's it, right? I mean, it's a huge tackle for sure. The divorce rate among first marriages, I believe it's at 50% right now. And the divorce rate among second marriages, it's even higher than that. So that told us that there's a trend. A lot of people are getting into...
Can I say one thing to make it? My first marriage was a storybook marriage. Unfortunately, Stephen King wrote the book.
That's beautiful. For a lot of people, that's how it is.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's how it is. But there's so much, as human beings, we were created for companionship. So a lot of people, sometimes out of desperation, sometimes it's, oh, my biological clock is ticking. I got to get married. I have the family saying, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have the kids? When am I going to meet her or him or whatever? So there's that pressure. And we end up getting into relationships where sometimes we're not ready to get into because we haven't developed that relationship within ourselves. And that's exactly, the work that we do or mission, and we feel that this is the whole reason why we came together as a couple. See, we met, like Rio said, both a product of divorce.
Mhm.
His parents were divorced. My parents were also divorced. We grew up seeing rocky relationships. So we never really had an example of what sort of fostering true love in a home should look like.
Mhm.
Right? And we really became a product of that product. And when we tried to do it by ourselves in our own marriages, it ended up in divorce as well. So we were like, okay, we got to put the brakes on. And it's funny because I recognized that I needed to put the brakes on and started doing some self-work. I lived in Toronto. I didn't know Rio. Rio realized the same thing. He lived in Dallas, Texas. We did not know each other, but we were doing the work on our own, growing, developing, healing on our own. And we just happened to come together in a Facebook group.
Mhm.
There was a post. He commented on the post. I saw the comment, and the rest is history.
Mhm.
But the whole point that we try to get across to people is that you have to do the work, you have to do the healing. And that's exactly why we didn't just write a book and releasing a book. It's a workbook that's actually going to get you to do some of this work on your own.
So what does some of that work look like, babe? Because I know that's what you might be wondering. Like, we're talking about doing work, doing the things to get prepared to be ready for a marriage, or doing the things to be prepared for our next relationship. But
Yes.
What in the heck is that work? What do we actually have to do? So we talk about inner work, right?
Yes.
And what that looks like. The first thing that I realized is that a lot of the things that I was attracting in my life were things that I hadn't healed from. So for example, my first wife, the reason why, no, it was storybook. It might have been, now I look at it, it might have been written by Stephen King. Now you say that. It could have been a Stephen King book. But when we first met, we checked off on all the boxes. Did we get along? Check. Did she have a job? Check. Did I have a job? Check. Do we want to get a house? Check. Like, do you want kids? I want kids. Check. And we went by this checkbook standard of what we thought relationships were supposed to be about, which are generally based upon what we've learned from the world or what are stereotypical about what healthy relationships look like. What I realized is that when I checked all the boxes, I hadn't checked any for myself. They were all external things that I thought meant marriage or I thought meant a great relationship. But I realized that the pain that I saw from my parents being divorced, their arguments I hadn't healed from. The way they communicate with each other, I wasn't healed from. The way they used to argue before we went over people's houses and they told us, hey, don't bring this up in the house. Keep it under wraps because we don't want people to know our business. I kept that stuff inside. So that became a part of me. It became a part of me to not be transparent with my partner. It became a part of me because I saw that in my own house. So I had to learn that before I could get into another relationship, there had to be work done on the trauma that I was carrying from relationship to relationship. It wasn't the person I was dating. It really wasn't their fault.
Yeah.
It was me that had to get myself right.
Absolutely. And it was the exact same thing that I realized on my end. So a part of that work, it really looks like self-discovery,
Mm-hmm.
right? It really looks like self-love. You hear a lot of people say, yeah, I practice self-love, but what does that really look like? These are their guides, their questions, their exercises that really helps you to actually do that work. And within doing that work, you start to understand, oh, this is a part of my life that, I had maybe pushed to the side,
Mm-hmm.
that now I'm actually facing it head on. I'm going to face it. I'm going to accept it. And I'm going to accept it as this is who I am. But now I'm really going to create who I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
What do I want to see show up?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want? The relationship. What's the type of relationship that I want to see show up?
Mm-hmm.
And you get to learn how much control you have over your future,
Mm-hmm.
right? With the person that you want to be with.
That's it. So that was number one. And I also had to get a really clear vision about what I wanted my relationship to look like. And that just doesn't mean what I want my wife to look like, but what I really want my everyday life to look like in that relationship. What time, like, for example, I'll let her kind of get in hers for briefly. But for me, before when I got married, I realized it was really superficial. I think I just wanted to be married because I was getting old enough to get married. And I heard that marriage was a great thing. And it was another notch on the belt.
And you're supposed to do.
I was supposed to do it. So I just did things in order. I had a great job. I went to school. I did all that stuff. So marriage was naturally next. Marriage, kids, and all that. But I realized that I was living somebody else's dream. I was living somebody else's standard. And I wasn't ready for it yet. So the first thing I had to learn to do is go back and clarify my vision and get real clear about what I really wanted. What do I want from my partner? And what do I want to give to my partner? What does that everyday situation look like? How does our communication work? How does our bedroom life work? How does everything work? And I really want to get really clear about what exactly I wanted out of it.
And that really, to us, it's important to figure out before meeting this person and before getting into these relationships, because oftentimes we find ourselves that that's the point where our problem is, and that's because we didn't address them before getting in this relationship, because we were just never taught how to talk about them, right? We were never taught to even think about this as a thing. We were just thought, well, get into this relationship, you like him, she likes you, or whatever, and you just make a decision to be together, and that's it. But there's a reason why, couples go to marriage counseling before they get married. This is sort of like that step, sort of like marriage counseling before you get into the relationship, for you to really get clear on that vision and for you to really say, this is the plan. It's sort of like a vision board, right? This is the plan of how I want my relationship to be. I want my life to be. And now you start to take strategic action to say, if I want to meet this person, then I got to be this way. If I want to have this type of relationship, then I have to be this way going into the relationship. If I want to, my partner to provide financially in a certain type of way, I'm not going to wait for him to come in, provide for me. I'm going to make sure that I'm able to provide for myself. So I know what that looks like before going into the relationship. So when he shows up, I'll already be familiar with that feeling, and I'm not looking for him to create it for me, right? I'm not looking for him to complete me. And that's what a power mate is. Not someone who's going to complete you, but someone who's going to complement and bring something else to the table so you can both grow and build together. So we're really trying to change that narrative from just getting into something just to be in a relationship, really go into it with sort of structure, right? To say, this is what I would like, this is my plan to get it, and this is how we're going to act together as a couple when we make a decision to be together.
Yeah, absolutely. So the things are in this order. There's a vision that you have to have for what you want from your perfect relationship. You need to have a solidified plan about how you plan to be in a position to attract your power mate, like Mika was talking about. For a man, I had to make sure my finance was right. I had to make sure that my credit was right. I need to make sure that maybe if I have a home, I need to make sure I can get the home. Whatever that looks like to plan, I need to make sure I'm ready for that emotionally, financially, physically ready for that. And then the action part was the last place. The action piece is the part that a lot of us don't take.
Yes.
When people are single, they say stuff. You might have said it because when you were single, I'm waiting on God to send me the right person, or God's going to send me
Mr. Right.
I'm waiting for Mr.
Or
Right,
Mrs. Right,
or Mrs. Right. I'm waiting for the person. But what we realize is that there's some action that needs to be taken. We have people that have been married for 30 years, now they're divorced, and they don't know what to do. They're lost, and they're trying to enter the dating scene again. They need to have some type of action plan. And that's what we do. We teach people vision, see what you want, create a strategic plan, and then take action upon that plan to actually attract the person that you want into your life. So that's what we teach. That's what we do. And that's how we've been helping our students for a while now. So we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that what we want to
I think that sums it up. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Can you elaborate a little on how this works? I mean, what kind of self-questioning do you ask, and how do you find the person that will fulfill the image you want? Because it's one thing to have a perfect mate in mind, but if you don't, I happen to be lucky, I found mine, but how do you find that person? It was like serendipity. I was speaking at a workshop, and she was there, and we went for coffee, and we got married. It wasn't that day, but that's how we met. It was kind of but you can't count on serendipity in every relationship. So what's your strategy, one, to find the self, the needs of the self, and then what's your strategy for finding that person that will fulfill those needs if you don't know them yet?
So for us, I'm going to share with you a little bit of our journey. We're heavy into spirituality. We're heavy into the law of attraction. We're heavy into faith. And we believe that just like our story, I was all the way in Toronto. He was all the way in Dallas, didn't know each other from, anywhere. And we were brought together. And the reason why is because because we started doing this inner work, because we started to really get to know who we really are, because we started to figure out that the beliefs that we had from our past didn't really resonate with us anymore, and we really had to get to our core. These are all things we go through in our workbook.
Like
So exactly. So we call it your I am, right? So my I am, from a spiritual side, this is how I was, but then this is how I'd like to be. So I create that. I start to meditate on that. I start to really believe that. I start to act on that, right? My I am from a financial side. Well, this is what I learned about finances. It doesn't resonate with me anymore, but this is who I would like to be. So I'm going to start creating that and acting on that. And what that does is your perfect mate, we call it your power mate, they're doing the exact same thing wherever they are. But because you're doing that, those actions, it starts to bring you together. And this is where faith comes in, because when you meet, you will both know that something's there, but you don't really know what it is, but it's not your job to know what it is or even how you got there, because the one action that you took to say, I really want to start learning about Mika, him all the way in Texas, he knew the same thing. I'm sick and tired of dead end dating. I'm sick and tired of people standing me up. I'm sick and tired of bad relationships. I'm sick and tired of being fed up with my relationships. Mm-hmm. So he was like, something's got to give. And for me, it was the same thing. I'm sick and tired of bad relationships. I'm sick and tired of bad dating. I'm sick and tired of traumatic experiences. Something's got to give. Mm-hmm. Let me really work on elevating myself. That's the action that let the universe know, okay, it's time for them now to be on the same frequency, which was what happened when we met. I'm getting a little bit spiritual, but sometimes it gets like this. When we met, that was exactly what happened. The universe brought us together because where we were before, we couldn't see each other. We were on different frequencies.
But you were in two different places. One was in Dallas. So how did you actually make the decision to get together, because that's a big distance? Did you?
Exactly. This was the thing. A part of me discovering who I am knew that I wanted a long distance relationship because I wanted to travel. So I placed myself in a group on Facebook for people that love to travel. And it's like 40 something thousand people that love to travel. And that's all you talk about in this group is travel. So people, they can communicate in the group. You might have a liking for a person. You might start flirting with the person, whatever it is. And that's exactly how this happened. We had a common interest of travel, right? And then when we realize, oh, we love to travel. Okay, I'm single. Okay, you're single. And we start communicating in each other's inboxes. And then you start to realize I'm learning some stuff about him that resonates and sits well with me. Like, this is the type of person that I wrote down that I want in my life.
Well, you mentioned serendipity, but what we did is we looked at our own story. We looked at people who also had the same kind of story that we did. We realized that they were actually doing stuff before they met. Like, for example, you met your wife, you guys went out for coffee, but you met in a common place. You met somewhere that you guys both enjoyed, and that's where you met. We both met in a place where we like to travel. When we were single, we met in that place. So when we talk about, like you said, what questions do we ask a lot of why at the beginning to really figure out who you are. What do you like to do? And we found out that after our first marriages, we didn't even really know what we like to do. We didn't know, because our lives were all about living for the other person. We didn't know what we wanted to do. So that's the first thing, is to understand why you do the things you do. Why do you believe the things you do? What do you like to do? Those are the type of questions that seem basic, but mean a world of a lot when you're trying to find the right person, be in the right position to find the right person.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Good question, though.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
Any question from, is it Oregon?
David or Linda, do you have any questions? I don't think so. Okay.
No? That's okay.
Make sure you
Now that Linda's left, I can say this, but
I can hear him now.
I have called him. He said, you know what you need? He says, you need somebody that will tolerate you. And still looking, but she keeps me on a short leash now. So, but a lot of it, and it's not, this is the list of what you need. Mm-hmm. Well, and you too. Your list may be very different from my list.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's on your list It's what's on my list and what's on her list, and do we mesh together?
That's it.
What some works for somebody else may not work for us.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Somebody else.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've had plenty of people give you advice. Oh, and even say, oh, that's the perfect person for you. We don't like each other, but except for that, anyhow,
That's true. Very true.
it's what works for you. And what
Absolutely.
may not work for me and vice versa.
That's
Absolutely.
it. That's it. That's it. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. You hit the nail right
Yeah,
on the
that's
head.
our approach. That's exactly right. That's our approach. It has to be custom for people. It's a custom game plan. So everybody we work with is completely customized for who they are, and what they want.
Exactly.
And in your story, it may not end up like ours, but that's beautiful. It's going to end up how yours
Or vice
is.
versa.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
If it works for us, then go for it.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it. That's it. Yes, sir.
And anyhow,
Awesome.
But thank
what
Any other question?
it's a little early. Our president-elect usually would be in, but she works and sometimes doesn't get off in time, and then she's got to listen to the recording. But that's the advantage, and we've got a member, and he lives in Simi Valley, California, which is where the Reagan Library is. We were there Saturday, but he was in Michigan, so
Okay.
to meet with him. But and Howard has recruited a member for us who's in North Carolina,
He's
and
Green Beret. Just
we've got the e-clubs are not for everybody, and I like having a meeting and you're sitting around the table and you're seeing and talking to each other. But if we needed you to speak to a meeting physically in Dallas, that ain't gonna work too well. And so we get good speakers. We get people who cannot come to a regular club, but they can get online. And to say it's not for everybody, but it's for some people, and we're trying to learn how to make this work.
There you
That's
go.
great.
Well, you guys are doing a great
Yeah, it's
job.
really great.
There's so many businesses. We use Zoom in our business for this exact same reason. We don't have to physically be in the same place
right.
to be able to communicate or do business. We use Zoom to meet with our clients as well, right? So, and you can be anywhere in the world.
When we come to Florida, we can get together because we're going to be about
Oh.
80 minutes from you. It's
Oh, okay,
Oh, yeah,
perfect.
definitely.
it's
Definitely.
west of Orlando. Orlando Airport's the airport I'll be using when I.
Okay.
Oh, that's not too far from us.
Yeah, we're like 20 minutes away from the airport. Yeah. So definitely let me know. Yeah, you can email me your phone number and, we can stay in touch and let me know when you're going to be in town.
And it'll help, like I said, find more clubs to speak at. And
Oh, yeah.
because I've been on hundreds of clubs now. I've learned how to do it, and I could show you what I found. It'll help you.
Oh,
That'd be
great.
great.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be
awesome. Thank you so much.
You can tell we're a very rigid club. We go by the book.
Good to sway a little bit sometimes. It's quite all right. We don't try to fit into a box at all.
That's us.
Perfect. Okay. Well, David, do you want to do the
Have
full-weight
box,
test?
Howard? Do you have the box or anything? Okay.
You want to do the full-weight test?
Well, as I say, we didn't have very many people here tonight, but we do record the meetings.
I'm
And
going to put it online.
Okay.
the guy in California, he says he looks at all the recordings, but he hadn't been to an online meeting in a year.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool, actually.
That's great.
Okay. Well,
We appreciate you guys having us for sure.
Yes.
Like, we really
It's
appreciate it.
been great.
Yeah.
appreciate you talking to us.
Are you
And,
Canadian, Mika, or are you just a U.S. citizen living in Canada?
So a citizen living in Canada, but originally from Jamaica.
Oh, okay. That's
Mhm.
everywhere.
And now I'm in Orlando.
Oh,
Yeah.
we were down
Orlando's
in
nice. It's a nice
3 years.
place. Yes.
Our district conference was a cruise. But while we were down there, we took stuff out to a school out in the country. Another group painted around the school, and we did service projects. they brought 4,000 pounds of equipment, and the cruise ship agreed to transport it. And so it wasn't a pure vacation. Yes, we were able to shop a little bit, and at least she was. And Rotary is very flexible, and in Orlando there are several clubs. In fact, to be a club president, you've got to go to president-elect training.
Okay.
Okay.
I got mine in Orlando.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
5 miles from Linda's house. I was staff there, and I couldn't get off to go get trained. But anyhow, you have Howard, or are we about?
Four-way test. We'll wrap up the meeting.
Okay, let's do it. You want to lead that?
This is how we finish all our meetings. It's the Rotary mantra in a way. The four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. First, is it the
Is it the truth?
Second, is it fair to all
Fair to all
concerned?
concerned.
Third, will it build goodwill
Build
and
goodwill and
friendships?
friendship.
And fourth, will it be beneficial?
Official
or
law
concerned?
concern.
And we go, is it fun? That's our club thing.
And normally we would ring the bell, but Linda took the bell.
Ding.
I hope we're not too rigid for you here.
No.
I love it.
Oh, we love it. Yeah.
Stay in touch. I will
If we're
send you an
not having
application
fun,
and I'll also talk to you on the phone and give you some, or on Skype, and I could show
Yeah.
you how to do more speaking engagements with the Rotary, and I'll be happy.
Oh,
to
that's
share
That'd
great.
be great.
Thank
that.
you.
I'll send you my program too.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Send me an email
There are
to
a lot of
Mr.
clubs
Reed,
in the Orlando area. If you do want to join a Rotary Club, don't just go to one club. Go to all of the clubs. Some of them, maybe they're a breakfast club and you don't like a breakfast club. I don't like breakfast club.
No.
Mhm.
Well, go to the noon club or an evening club or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have only been to 179 Rotary clubs.
Oh, wow.
Some of them, I say, well, one, Yorktown, Virginia. If I worked 1,500 miles away, I'd want to be in that club.
Mhm.
And then there's other clubs I say, I'm glad I never have to come back here again. Well, they're in the middle, okay. But what I'm trying to say, there are clubs that you will like and feel you blend in, and there are other clubs that they just don't, there's not a fit there.
It's like
Okay.
marriage.
Don't feel you go to a
Kind of
club.
like dating.
Yeah,
Dating, yeah.
it's very similar.
Yeah.
Establish a relationship. It's,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That could be a follow-up book, How to Get Married to a Rotary Club.
You never, this book is the first, it's the first in the series. So there's going to be 2 more. So you never know.
There you
That's
go.
it.
Okay, it was great seeing you guys. I'm gonna close out the meeting, the recording, and I'll see you guys next week, Dave. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Nice meeting you guys.
Bye.
Take care.